Hi, everybody. This is David Nevins for City Biz, and thank you for joining us today. We have a very special guest, and she is Dr. Karen Gilbert, Vice President for Education and Quality Assurance at Alzheimer's Community Cares. Karen, welcome to our program today.
Thank you for having me.
And tell us a little bit about ACC and what the organization does, and then I'll ask you about your role within it as well.
Absolutely. Alzheimer's Community Care is a not-for-profit organization. We're in our 28th year. We have services and resources for patients and their caregivers. These are patients who are affected by Alzheimer's disease or one of the many related disorders. And we provide these services in Palm Beach, Martin, and St. Lucie counties. We have many services that we're able to provide at no cost to the family, which really is phenomenal. We have tremendous support to do this. So we're able to provide navigation services to the caregivers. In fact, I might add that when the organization was founded in 1996, the first focus was on the caregiver. Our founders understood that caregivers of a loved one with Alzheimer's or a related disorder really needed a lot of help and support. And that was their initial focus, and their initial project was to help caregivers. And then the organization evolved to create these specialized adult day centers where patients could go and be with their peers and have therapeutic engagement for the day. And many of our caregivers work. And so this was a wonderful resource because they knew that their loved ones were no longer safe alone at home. And even frankly, if they do not work, they still need a break from 24/7 caregiving. So that respite was incredibly important. And again, because of the funding we have, we can offer that navigation service, that help linking caregivers to the community resources, the variety that they will need as they progress through the disease process. We can offer that at no cost to the family, at no cost to the healthcare system. So there is no financial barrier for a family to access those initial services. For those who really can benefit by having their loved one attend one of our specialized day centers, unfortunately, we can't provide a day center service at no cost, but we are able to link families with funding. Those who are veterans of even one day in active service, we can link them with their case manager at the VA, and they will be covered to attend transportation and meals. We work with all of the managed Medicaid programs that serve our 3 counties. And so we help families who may not have realized they were eligible for that help. We can help link them with how to get that process started. And then we have a variety of grants and scholarships that can actually bridge until they have that coverage in place. So really, again, there should be no barrier for a family to be able to take advantage of our day center. And there's another very important issue affecting families, and that is the risk that their loved one may actually leave the home unsupervised and become lost. And we've heard of many cases where this has a very tragic outcome. We've had a program in place for more than 10 years where we evaluate the risk that this loved one may actually wander, and we're able to provide electronic technology that will help locate them very quickly should this happen. And we also provide a tremendous amount of education to the caregiver about how to minimize the risk that they will leave a supervised setting. And I can tell you that in our 10 plus years in this program, we've had over 160 reports of a loved one leaving their supervision, their supervised setting. Not one has ever been injured. All have been returned home safely. So it's been an incredibly successful program, and happy to say again, no financial barrier. This technology and the education is provided at no cost to the family.
And of course, you're referring, Karen, to your ID locator bracelet. I didn't want anyone to think you've yet got the technology to install a chip inside their family member's
Right.
person.
No, we don't install chips. That actually was tried years ago by a company called VeriChip. But we have a bracelet that's radio frequency that the patient wears 24/7. And we have an alternate device which works on a GPS system, which links to the caregiver's smartphone. So that's an instant notification that their loved one has left whatever was designated as the safe area. And it will also show a map of where their loved one is. So we have the two types of technology, and we match it to the needs and the desires of the caregiver as to which they'll be more comfortable with, but both highly successful.
No doubt. And if only you had that 20 plus years ago when my grandfather, he lived in the Miami Beach area, and literally I was in the car for an entire day until I found him. Fortunately, it all ended safely. And we found him inside of a Roy Rogers restaurant. But this technology will clearly become widespread and no doubt will enhance, again, the reputation of Alzheimer's community care. You also, Karen, I know that in South Florida, the organization is beloved and known for so many things. You mentioned two, but another one, correct me if I'm wrong, is the whole Silver Alert program that people see on our highways, and when the sign lights up, that means an elderly person is missing. Tell us a little bit about that, how that got started.
Alzheimer's Community Care actually led the team of law enforcement personnel and social service agencies that came together to create what became the Florida Silver Alert. It was signed into law in 2011. Again, it's been an incredibly successful program, with those driving sometimes found as far away as Pennsylvania, Ohio, of course, the Carolinas, Georgia. We're very proud to have been a leader in developing that initial Silver Alert process. And then almost 9 years ago, in the spring of 2015, the state came back to Alzheimer's Community Care and asked us to now create the process for Lost on Foot. It's a much different dynamic. When someone's missing in a vehicle, you have a vehicle to look for, and they will generally be on a road. Of course, lost on foot, they could be anywhere. They could have wandered in any direction. So the moving parts are a bit different. So we were asked to provide training for law enforcement about lost on foot events, and we actually took it quite a bit further. We not only created training for law enforcement personnel, but we also developed training for families as to how to reduce the risk of experiencing a wandering event. And we created documents and handouts and guides for facilities like assisted living and skilled nursing facilities, who often deal with this risk as well. And we actively support this program in our 3 counties, Palm Beach, Martin, and St. Lucie, and we work very closely with law enforcement. We are actually regular trainers for what they call crisis intervention training. And we have a role in that training in all 3 counties, again, helping law enforcement personnel understand why someone with Alzheimer's or a similar disorder would wander, and then how to engage with them in a therapeutic way and in a way that will de-escalate the situation. We teach them the difference between someone who is engaging in criminal behavior or is mentally ill or is under the influence of substances, and it really is a different dynamic. So we're very proud to be part of that training for law enforcement, and we're available to them if they encounter a situation and they're having some difficulty figuring out what the dynamic is. we always have personnel on call who can walk them through it, understand the situation, and give guidance as to how to best address that particular situation.
So Karen, you've been talking for the last few minutes quite passionately and articulately about the services that Alzheimer's Community Care provides, essentially in the here and now. But I know that you are also particularly involved and certainly a significant expert in Alzheimer's education. And so, correct me if I'm wrong, that's another very important piece of what ACC does, and you have a big conference upcoming as well. So just tell us a little bit about Alzheimer's education and your upcoming conference. Who's that for? How does one become a part of it?
Absolutely. I enjoy a wonderful dual role at the organization, and one is in education, and I'll describe the types of audiences that we're able to address. And my second role is in quality assurance. So we are a Joint Commission accredited organization by choice. And also, of course, our day centers are licensed by the state under a very strict special statute governing specialized adult day centers. So, in my role, not only do I prepare education about how we can best care for our patients and how we can best care for our caregivers, but also about the diseases in general. And more to the point, how can we preserve and protect brain health? So, at the same time as we're caring for those who are profoundly affected, and the majority of patients we care for in our day centers are truly eligible for nursing home placement. They are severely cognitively impaired, but yet we're able to send them home at the end of the day and they're living with their families, preventing or delaying nursing home placement. So at the same time as we teach about how to continue that and how to optimize these therapeutic activities in our day center, we're also out in the community saying Alzheimer's is not something you have no control over. It's not something you either get or you don't. You can exert a great deal of control over your risk. We are 118 years since the discovery of Alzheimer's disease in 1906. We still remain with neither cure nor true substantive disease modifying treatment. Even the recent drugs that have been approved, not everyone's eligible to take them. And the best, Leqembi, resulted in 27% less decline over 18 months, but there was still decline.
Mhm.
So we still remain without some magic bullet that will truly arrest or reverse the disease. So we're out there saying, let's do what we can do preventively and proactively. Let us teach you those techniques. And of course, it's your choice. The more preventive strategies you adopt, the more protected you are. And this is education that's not generally out there, particularly not in our schools of nursing. So we are very actively teaching undergraduate nursing students from several universities. Right now, we have students from 4 different schools of nursing in Palm Beach County and the Treasure Coast getting classroom training and then rotating through our day centers so they can see how we put this theory and how we put this model of care to work to keep families together and to try to slow the progression. At the same time, we're telling these rising health professionals that they're also teachers. And when they work with patients, when they become licensed as nurses, we expect that they will promote and educate families about how to protect and preserve brain health. We're hoping to change the dire prediction that the number of affected people will double or triple by 2050. We're out there trying to change that.
And so, specifically, I think on May 22nd, you have a big conference in Palm Beach County. So tell us generally who attends that, who are the speakers, not specifically, but what is the conference all about, and how does someone register if they're interested?
Absolutely. This is our 25th education conference, so we have a lot of experience in putting on this event. It will take place on Wednesday, May 22nd at the Marriott in Palm Beach Gardens, which is very conveniently located right off of Interstate 95. And it's essentially central to our service area. So we do hope our family caregivers will take advantage, and many do. Typically, the conference is attended by about half family caregivers and half healthcare professionals. We have physicians, nurses, nurse practitioners, nursing home administrators, dietitians, professional guardians, osteopathic physicians. We have professionals from all of these disciplines attending the conference. And it's a wonderful meeting of both the family caregiver and the professional caregivers. And of course, many of our professionals are also family caregivers. And so the presentations are geared to issues affecting patients, issues affecting brain health, and also issues affecting caregivers and how we can support the caregiver. So the conference will open with a breakfast session. We do serve a plated breakfast and lunch and snacks. We have many sponsors and exhibitors that our guests can engage with between sessions and learn about all types of resources that are available for them. We have a wonderful opening session, literally about the magic of music and how we can use music to help ourselves as caregivers and, of course, our loved ones. And then we have a choice of 4 different breakout sessions that will each be offered twice. So attendees will be able to attend at least 2 of them. One is by a primary care physician who is trying to tell us dementia is not a diagnosis. It's just saying that somebody's having symptoms. And why? Doesn't mean they have Alzheimer's. They may have something treatable. So this is, again, a very exciting aspect of primary care. And regardless of age, we should never be assumed to have Alzheimer's. Someone should do, our provider should do that evaluation to see if it's something treatable and simple that's causing our symptoms. We have another, it really is, and it's something we really want to pay more attention to because so many people are rushed to a diagnosis, frankly, just based on age. And just because we age, we should not assume we will develop an irreversible disorder like Alzheimer's. We can age in a brain healthy way. It is. Right. We can age in a brain healthy way past 100. And that's why we're out there teaching those strategies. We have another physician who's a clinical trial investigator, and he's going to talk about recent approaches that are a little bit different toward Alzheimer's. We hear about a lot of studies to reduce amyloid in the brain. Well, there's another pathology that causes Alzheimer's, and that's a pathology of tau protein, and that's what he specializes in. So we want to hear what's happening with that research, what's promising there. And then we have a wonderful mental health counselor who will be talking about how caregivers can build their own resilience and how they can ensure they're taking care of themselves. And finally, another physician who's an expert on how plant-based diets protect the brain. And this is a major focus. In fact, an article I just received this week from Harvard Medical School talks about improvements in truly cognitively impaired people with Alzheimer's just by changing their diet to an anti-inflammatory diet. And plant-based diets are anti-inflammatory. So again, it's all in the spirit of what we can do. We know what we cannot do. We still cannot cure this disease, and we cannot provide a treatment that everyone could take and see a dramatic improvement. So our focus is what we can do. Midday, we have a wonderful keynote speaker who is a very, very interesting man. He's actually a former Marine and counterterrorism expert, a special operations officer, and a former intelligence paramilitary case officer. He is the president of the Association for the Recovery of Children. So he helps to find and return kidnapped children. Just an amazing, interesting man. But he is going to speak to us of his experience as a caregiver.
To
And
his
so,
parent, I assume.
yes,
Right.
yes. So here is someone that is doing such incredibly difficult and challenging and frankly dangerous things. And he's going to convey his story of his approach to caregiving for his loved one. And then at the end of the day, our final plenary presentation will be Dr. James Galvin and his team. And they'll actually be demonstrating how you can be evaluated to see if something is going on, and you might want to consider clinical trial participation. So many people are leery, they're concerned about these evaluations, they may be afraid of what they might learn. And he and his team are going to be able to demonstrate that this is really not intimidating. It's not scary. And the truth is, the earlier we learn of an issue, the more we can do for you. It's the same as for any disease. The earlier we intervene, the better you do. So again, we're fostering this thought process of the earliest possible intervention, just as we do for so many other diseases that we've become so successful with over the past few decades. We want to show that that same logic can be applied to brain health, and we can all do better.
And Karen, I know you have a special guest the night before as well.
And
at
that will
a
be our
reception.
keynote speaker. Yes, that
Can
will be
you
our keynote speaker.
speak to that just briefly?
Yes, and his name actually is Basil Baz. For anyone that might be a fan of the show Blacklist, the story goes he was actually hired as a consultant because of his background in intelligence and so on, and then was actually put in the show as an actor. So again, he's going to talk about his experience as a caregiver, but there'll be a little bit more of an intimate setting the night before with a reception for him. And yeah, we're very excited about that.
And how does one learn more about the conference, register? Where do they go? Either website or phone number or what?
Yes, registration is readily available on our website, and our website is alzcare.org. That's ALZCARE.org. Or they can simply call our headquarters at 561 683 2700. Simply request education, and we can get you registered for the conference.
So Karen, before I let you go, I want to maybe end on a lighter note. And I've had the opportunity, as you know, I think, to visit some of your day centers. And you've mentioned music a couple times in this interview, and I was kind of blown away, really, at the you have a music therapy program at your day centers, and you mentioned how music is enhancing and therapeutic to those who unfortunately suffer from Alzheimer's. So it was the most enjoyable, fun, and fascinating experience. Take a quick second and talk about that too.
Well, it's not really scientifically understood how magical music is, but the theory is that music is involved in so much of the brain that even Alzheimer's can't destroy it all. And this is why someone could pick up an instrument and play it from memory, even though they have profound effects of Alzheimer's disease, or they can sing songs they haven't heard in a very long time without looking at the words. So we use music a lot because it really does exercise those remaining skills. We use music in many forms: sing-alongs, dance, we have drum circles, and we frankly cannot do enough music therapy. It is just that therapeutic.
Very good to hear. And thank you for a fascinating interview. And I urge our viewers to check out Alzheimer's Community Care, check out the conference if you're so inclined, and recommend to your friends that they reach out to ACC if they have a loved one who might need some very special and loving care. Karen Gilbert, thank you so much for joining us today. And our guest has been Dr. Karen Gilbert, Vice President for Education and Quality Assurance of Alzheimer's Community Care, based in Palm Beach County, Florida. And this has been David Nevins for City Biz. Thank you so much for joining us today.